Well, here it is. Last chance for victory. Line of battle. Y'all know me. You know that the GBACW is my thing. It's still my thing. Got the whole collection from day one all the way through the Stigler's new release. and But I've also got all the line of battle stuff, and I've dabbled with line of battle. I think I started with the Monoxy Junction one, and even Nick Rosser he even said that's probably not the right one to start with, and I think he was correct with that. I played a scenario in this one here a few months back, and now I decided to play the whole shebang. I put my big table back together, and we're just gonna do it. We got all four maps out. We didn't play the one that starts with like earlier arrivals or stuff like that. We're just playing the historical battle. Game has a lot of rules to it. The things like, you kill Reynolds at a certain time. Yeah, I'm not doing all that. Heath attacking up the Chambersburg Pike with only two brigades, which, yeah, we know he did that historically. But that Harry Heath is not the Harry Heath I'm going to be. So while I held Pettigrew and Brockenbrough in where they were supposed to be, where they couldn't come more than 4 hexes in front of Hare Ridge by their orders, it did say, or you can just release them and, put the whole division into the fight, which is what I decided to do. Now, Pettigrew is starting to circle in on the right. Brockenbrough is starting to circle in on the left. Davis and Archer there's a couple of wrecked regiments in there, but you know what? The first division of First Corps, the Iron Brigade and the Second Brigade, they arrived, and let me tell you something, Heath punched them in the face. Now, granted, they're still pretty fresh, but they got a couple of dice rolls where they took 2 losses off of regiments with 1 volley. Of course, the Iron Brigade was courteous enough to return the favor. All right, we pulled Buford's Cav off the front line. We're going over here north because we know Rhodes is going to show up sometime, I'm sure. And from what I understand, Buford knew that Ewell's Second Corps was going to be coming in from the north sometime during the day. They just didn't know when. They did have vedettes out there or reconnaissance out there, so they did know. But Pender got his whole division on, which I think the games that I'm used to playing, Pender comes on later in the morning. But it might be the fact that maybe this map starts a little farther back, and Pender did come on the field, and once he finally got his whole division deployed, Knoxland Ridge, Whistler Ridge, then he was able to start moving forward, but he could only go so far. If I decide, Hill's on the map or coming on the map, and if I decide to put them into use, I'm going to put them into use. Now, Heath is still under his attack orders, which they listed as recon and force, but I've decided that Pettigrew and Brockenbrough are going to join the fight, and their headquarters are Heath's objective areas right here where that artillery battery's sitting. So he's okay. He's going to keep working with all 4 of his brigades and try to push the 1st Division, 1st Corps off of there. Now, that being said, brigades from the 3rd Division of the 1st Corps are arriving. Artillery's arriving. That's artillery. All right. 3rd Division troops are arriving. Here comes Robinson in the 2nd Division. And here comes the 3rd Division from the 11th Corps. They're all arriving. And, of course, the rest of the 11th Corps will start to pop on the map here shortly. Howard's already up on Cemetery Hill seeing what's going on. And, like I say, Buford's deploying to the north. The Rebs don't get a whole lot more here. Sometime around the lunch hour shortly after, you'll start to see 2nd Corps units. Okay. Unique things about this. The orders. All right. They so the system went what? CWBS, RSS, and then line of battle, and they decided to, line of battle was to take over for RSS. Apparently, you can play some of the RSS games using line of battle rules. I guess there's a couple things you got to sort of change the way you look at them. And I know that the Gettysburg game, this hallowed ground, is massive. I don't think all the maps, I can't get all those maps on this table, I'm pretty sure, because I think they stretch off a little farther to the sides. But they kind of simplified the orders. And the CWBS never really got into the RSS rules, but CWBS, you really, really had to write deep, very precise orders. Well, for the most part. This one here, they simplified it a little bit. where you're going to, an objective hex. All right, you can only list one, but then you can allow. Maybe you can determine the route you want to take into the objective. You know, if it's just a move order, you got a move order, you got an attack order, pretty much. Okay, move order, you're going to go into column the minute you accept a move order. Your troops you gotta stick to your guns about these orders to make the game have some, a little more realism for the time and some fog of war. But they got to go into column and they got to start to move towards the assigned objective. Now, of course, units can operate within the command radius that is their brigade leader, from the brigade leader to their division leader, from the division leader to the corps leader. Okay. And there's different ranges for each one. And the ranges in this game, the command radius is in hexes, it's not in movement points, okay? Although it cannot pass through an enemy unit or an enemy-controlled hex, i.e. the zone of control, unless there's another Union unit, another friendly unit in there. But you've got to stick to your orders. Any command, which in the game here, a command, let's say, for the Union would be a corps, all right? And the a formation of command would also be a corps in the Confederates, except for the Corps is going to have 3 divisions, all right, as part of that. So, you could give an order to A.P. Hill, and let's say he's got his Pender and Heath on the division. You can tell, hey, 3rd Corps, I want you to attack here along this axis. Chambersburg Pike, I want you to clear the town of Gettysburg and drive to Cemetery Hill, hex number blah, blah, blah. All right, well, that hex number is going to be where A.P. Hill's headquarters is going to need to end up. And in an attack formation, in an attack mode or attack order, the headquarters can keep moving as the attack moves. But once that headquarters reaches that objective, the orders are gone. They've attained their objective and taken it. And then anybody that's not in an attack order or move order is considered to be in defense. And like I say, units can fight and do everything normally, whether they're under attack or defend, as long as they do it within their command radiuses. All right, so you can shoot, you can close combat or shock, whatever you want to call it, fire, as long as you stay within those command radiuses. Okay, and that command radius is going to begin with where that headquarters marker is, and then down through to the division leader, and then down to the brigade leaders and on to the regiments. There are times when you might issue an order to a smaller formation, like maybe use initiative, like to get brigades going, which is what I had to do for Pettigrew and for Brockenbrough. And then they get assigned orders. Well, they don't have a headquarters, just like Heath doesn't have a headquarters. So when there's an order assigned to a formation that doesn't have a headquarters, the leader is the headquarters. So he's not only the leader counter, but he's also the headquarters counter, and he will be the one moving to the objective that you assigned. It's really not that hard. Maybe writing the first couple orders could be a little testy, but the coolest part about this system is those orders and working in that command range, because it's not as hard in this one for a leader to accept an order as it is in CWBS. All right, it's just a simple command roll table, 9 or less. You're not going to accept it, or you're not going to get to write the new order. 10 or more, you're going to accept it, okay? And then there's a couple